Welcome to week 3 of stage combat. As I mentioned in the last video, I had some trouble where I took the thrusts and the riposte videos and lessons and smashed them together. So now I have separated them once again. So in this video lesson, you're going to take a look at the second half of the original thrust video, and you're going to perform a really great, fun exercise, one of my favorite things to do in stage combat, that deals with direct and indirect ripostes. Enjoy. Now, I'm going to show you a few additional things that we're going to put together into a sequence for this. The first thing we're going to look at is called the riposte. Now, a riposte is a direct attack immediately following a parry. In fact, it's one swift movement, the parry riposte. Here's what it looks like. Let's say that I am left foot forward and somebody attacks my hip with a thrust attack. We start off by weight shifting as they prep. They extend their blade, and in my peripheral vision I can see the space, the distance between my hip and the blade. I begin to pass back. They pass with me. I parry, supinated with a parry 7, and immediately extend my blade towards their hip. So I parry, riposte in one fluid movement. Parry, riposte. Now the parry, all it does is it just moves their blade offline, and then I immediately extend. Now when I extend that riposte, I am not going to weight shift forward. Boom, boom, I'm still weight shifted back because I just parried. I don't get to move until they start to pass, and then I can pass with them, or I can weight shift with them. Depends on which target I am attacking, whether we're going to do a weight shift or a pass. Now, I'd also like you to notice that this time my palm was supinated. The reason for that is because I just finished parrying 7. I parried 7, and in this parry position, my right palm is supinated, palm up. I am not going to change. I'm going to keep it the same as I extend the thrust. The reason for that, several reasons. One of the biggest ones is because I don't ever want to get into the place where they're going to parry the flat of my blade. I always want them to parry the edge. And again, I don't care if it's the true edge or the false edge, as long as they're not parrying the flat. So if my hand is here, it's going to stay there, showing them the true edge of the showing them an edge of the blade the entire time. If I twist, there's a chance they're going to catch my parry on the flat of the blade, and I don't want that. The other reason is it's also possible that if I twist it, I might accidentally bring the tip of the blade up into their face, and I don't want to do that either. The big reason is I want them to catch it on my edge. So the rule is we never, at least with these thrust attacks, we do not twist on a forward motion, but we can twist on a reverse motion, moving away from them. On a defensive motion, we can change from pronated to supinated. On an offensive motion, we do not. We just keep it wherever it is. So if I prep the attack with my palm pronated, I finish the attack with my palm pronated. If I have just parried and my palm is supinated, I finish the attack with my palm supinated. Now, there's two different types of ripostes. There are direct ripostes and there are indirect ripostes. A direct riposte will target the exact same target on the attacker that the attacker targeted on the defender. Let me show you what I mean. So if I'm right here, left foot forward, and my partner targets my left hip, my forward hip, I'm going to pass back and remove that target and then parry 7, moving their blade aside. Now, if I do a direct parry, it means I am a direct riposte. I am going to be attacking their left hip. They targeted my left hip, so I'm going to do a direct riposte and target their left hip. The difference now is that their left hip is their rear hip. When it was me, it was my front hip. But then I passed back, they passed forward, now their left hip is their rear hip. As a result, they don't need to pass back to defend this. I had to pass back because this is the hip in front of me. I want to remove it, get it out of there, pass back, and then parry. If I was to be targeted here on my rear hip, passing back doesn't really move it very much at all. It's a waste of energy. So instead, I would just weight shift, and that's what they're going to do. So I have parried 7, I extend towards their rear hip, they weight shift back, I weight shift forward, and then they parry. That is a direct riposte. So let's see that whole sequence from both the attacker and the defender's position. The attacker first. I'm left foot forward, make eye contact. I weight shift back as I prep, palm pronated. I extend my blade without moving. They start to pass, I pass with them, and they parry. They do a direct riposte, targeting my rear hip. I weight shift, parry, and they weight shift with me and attack. So that's a direct riposte. Now there's also indirect ripostes. With an indirect riposte, we target a different spot than was originally targeted on us. So let's put this into the sequence now. We'll start left foot forward. We weight shift back, prepping an attack to their left hip. We extend. They pass back, we pass forward with them. We are parried. They immediately riposte, extending their weapon towards our left hip without weight shifting forward. We weight shift, they weight shift with us. We parry 7 and immediately extend our blade, but this time we are targeting their right hip. This is their forward hip now. And so they're going to have to pass back, and we pass forward, and then they parry. So that is the sequence that you're going to be doing from the attacker's position. But there's a twist. If you're doing this from the defender's position, you're going to have to do what's called a full counter parry at one point. Let me show you what I mean. So we're left foot forward. I'll start farther forward here, because we're going to be moving back a little bit. They start by weight shifting back to prep, and they target our left hip. We pass back, parry 7, direct riposte, targeting their left hip. They weight shift, we weight shift with them, they parry and do an indirect riposte, targeting our right hip. We pass back, but now, if I parry 7, I'm going to be dragging their sword through my center line. I'm going to be pulling their blade in towards me. I don't want to do that. I want to push their blade away, so I need to cross my heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my blade up and make a full circle and parry 2. This is called a counter parry, a full counter parry, or a full circular parry. It's really flashy. It looks great, it feels great, it sounds great, it is great. Okay, so one more time, let me show you that sequence again from the defender's position. We're left foot forward. We weight shift back, prep, I'm sorry, from the defender's position, my bad. Defender, left foot forward. Weight shift forward. They prep an attack and extend towards our left hip. We pass back, parry, direct riposte. We weight shift, we are parried, they indirect riposte towards our right hip. We pass back, bring the tip of the blade up above both of our heads, and as we pass back, we parry 2 and then weight shift back. That's the sequence. This is one of my favorite sequences to put into a fight. It looks so good and it sounds interesting. You have a boom, boom, boom. There's a change in tempo there. You get to see this big flashy thing right there. It's one of my favorite ways to start a thrust attack sequence, is with a direct riposte followed by an indirect riposte. Now let's take a look at what it would be if we were left-handed here. If we're left-handed, we're going to switch hips, and we're going to go with the right hip here. So if I'm the attacker, I'm going to start by weight shifting back, prepping. My dominant hand is pronated. I extend towards my partner's right hip. I don't weight shift forward yet. They pass back. I pass forward with them. I am parried. They do a direct riposte. I weight shift back. I supinate my hand, parry 7. Then I do an indirect riposte, and towards their front hip, which is their left hip now, they pass back, full counter parry, and that's the end of the sequence. And just like I did before, I started with my palm pronated, and I switched with my palm supinated. So let's just go over that again. We can change from pronated to supinated on the parry, but we keep the pronation and supination on the attack. So there's that moment where we have just attacked, they have parried, and then we need to weight shift back, and we supinate the hand to parry and direct riposte. So we can change that supination there on the defense for the thrust attack. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to do that phrase that we did. Thrust attack, direct riposte, indirect riposte, and I'd like you to do it twice. Once from the attacker's position and once from the defender's position, with all of the footwork intact. And that is the end of week 2. Best wishes.